Greyhound on the side, right?
Or $350 Yugo.
Yeah. I like the guys who go to the horse race. How much you make money at the horse race? $1,000. You gotta tell you
Right.
You want this circulated after the meeting, or? Okay.
I went to Vegas a few years ago, got off, just right in the terminal, put in money in the slots,
you
ding,
never
ding,
play
I'm winning, I'm like, this is way too easy.
As soon as you step off the plane, you see slots.
Yeah, so they suck you in and then,
Oh, yeah, I lost it.
well, it's like,
My
the-
$80 that I took.
well, that's what you do. You have to have it cut off.
Uh-huh.
But it's, all those $5 bet and you get 20 free bets. Well, that's like nicotine with tobacco.
Right. Yeah.
But if you run into trouble, call 1-800-GAMBLER. We'll fix you up.
Right. Put you on hold.
That's right.
First, the roulette's added to increase their odds. So that's the over. Now the Americans put double zero, increasing the odds more. It goes,
Yeah.
now they're going to triple zero. Oh, really? Oh, yeah, it's never enough.
Good to go?
And it's,
Okay. I'm going to call the February 25th, 2025 meeting of the Ravenna City Board of Zoning Appeals to order. And if we can start with a roll call, Tiffany?
Present.
Mr. Forcase? Here. Mr. Miller?
He contacted me and I think a couple others. He will not be here because of business.
Mr. Thomas?
Here?
Mr. Magditch? Mr. Stenius?
Here.
And Mr. Barnes?
Here.
And clerk just walked in.
here.
Good job.
Right. Timely arrival. I'll entertain a motion to excuse Dr. Miller because I think we talked about that, and as long as there's notice given, Larry,
So moved.
is there a second to that?
Second.
Okay, Jerry. Those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Okay. You've had the January 28th, 2025 minutes available for some time now. And if you've had a chance to review those, I will entertain a motion to accept those minutes as presented.
Second.
Okay? Further discussion on the motion? Those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Okay, we have three, right, for tonight? The first one is Patrick and Christine Untauer. I'm sorry I'm massacring that name, Chris.
Patrick's not here, he's sick.
Okay,
So
well,
you're
that's
stuck
a
with
heck of an
BZA.
excuse, but, hey, I need to swear you in. So if you'll, you got your right hand raised already, you're several steps ahead of me. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you give tonight will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do,
Okay.
thank you.
Go ahead and tell us what it is that you're interested in having done.
So we're going to put in a shed on an existing driveway concrete area. It's 20 by 14, and it's, I don't know, I guess that's the only thing I can tell you, it's a wooden shed that's gonna be built on site. Yeah, they're gonna bring it in pieces and put it together, so.
Okay, and is it going to be on the drive, or?
Yeah, we have a parking apron off the house, and it's a pretty big area. It's going to be 13 feet from the house and then 22 from the property line, and the 20-foot building will be in the middle of it.
Okay, so we're just looking for a variance for size of the shed, right? Okay. Right. Questions from the board on the application? We would otherwise be, it would be, the code is 12 by 12, right? So there's an asking for a 2-foot and an 8-foot variance for the shed.
Is this going to be fastened down or loose?
Well, our question was, we have 4 sheds right around us that aren't fastened down, so is that something we need to do? Because our contractor said if we need to, he can anchor it. It was just nobody else's are down, so, and ours is way bigger, heavier. You know, the weight of it, it's not gonna go anywhere, but if we need to do that, we can.
So the code states that a temporary structure, in other words known as a shed, is to be easily movable.
Correct.
Being that you're putting it on a concrete, on your driveway in essence, it's up to you. If you would have no reason to relocate it, you're not on a property line, often in the newer subdivisions, there's a perimeter around every particular lot that is a utility easement. So if a utility were to come through, the shed would have to be slid or moved.
Okay.
In your case, it'll never happen.
Correct.
So it would be up to you. We wouldn't require, the building department would not require that to be fastened.
Okay.
Okay, so we're looking at two variances here, and I'd like to do the motion, or the motions for each separately if I could. So I'll entertain a motion for a 2-foot variance for one dimension.
So moved.
Okay, is there a second to that motion? Ken, further discussion on the motion? Roll call, please.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes. Yes.
And then we need the 8-foot variance for the 20-foot dimension on things, so I'll entertain a motion for that. Vince, is there a second to that? Clark?
Second.
Okay. Further discussion on that motion? Roll call, please.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes? Okay, you're good to go.
Thank you so much.
See the building department on the permit and the paperwork that has to be done, but you're good to go.
Okay. Thank you.
Good seeing you tonight. All right, the next applicant on the agenda is Tim and Susan Calfee. And Susan's, I'm presuming, is not sick, but you're here, right?
Not sick, but not here.
Okay. Tim, if I could have you raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you give tonight will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do not swear, but I do affirm.
Fine. If you can state your name and then the request, the content of your request for the variance.
Tim Calfee, 910 Murray Avenue. I'm requesting 2 variances, one for the size of a shed. The proposed shed is 12 by 16, so need a 4-foot variance on one of the dimensions of the shed. The other variance request is a side setback for a driveway. My existing driveway at the house was built in 1964. At that time, driveways could go on the property line, and for a long distance of the driveway, it is on the property line. So my request is that I am able to put the new driveway that we're putting in along the property line and also straighten out the last 10 or 15 feet, which has a small curve on it, to move it over to the property line.
Questions from the board?
So the driveway was already approved for the way it is existing now.
I don't know if it got approved or not. It got put in in 1964. Yeah, so it's been there since 64, and it's right on the line. If you look at the drawing, you can see on the property line, it's probably 4/5 of the driveway is right on the line. Just a little section down by the street is not.
What's the width of the driveway at the narrowest point down there? Near the street?
15, 18 feet? You think?
Probably 15. I'd go more toward 15.
So that's certainly adequate.
I didn't ask this on the last one, but any comments from public or anything? Okay. I'm presuming we didn't have any on the first one either. Okay. All right.
I've talked personally to my neighbor on whose property is on that side.
That's the east side?
Aaron, yeah, on the east side. He has no objection to it going to the property line.
Okay.
Then also, if you see on the drawing, at the end of the driveway, you see it kind of drawn in where the new shed will go, 12 by 16 at the end of the driveway. When the new driveway goes in, we're going to extend it about 18 feet so that the shed can sit on the driveway there.
And there was an old shed that's been removed already?
Yeah, that shed has been removed down in the back part of the property.
Okay. Okay. Questions? Larry?
Is it going to be a hardship for you getting in and out of your garage if your driveway doesn't go all the way to the neighbor's property?
Yeah, I think so. Whenever we come out, the radius with which we turn ends up within a few feet of the edge of the existing driveway. If you moved it 10 feet in, it would be impossible to come out of the garage and make the turn and stay on the driveway.
We don't normally give variances all the way to the property line. The runoff from your driveway goes in the neighbor's yard. If you put salt on your driveway, it's going to wash off in the neighbor's yard. This is concrete you want to do, correct?
Mm-hmm.
In order to put forms in, you'd have to dig up and put forms in your neighbor's yard in order to go to the property line. And if you ever wanted to put in a fence, that would be rather difficult. You or the next owner. Could you get by?
My belief is that the existing driveway has been on the property line now for 61 years. And so it's worked. Along that edge of the driveway, there's a drain, a surface drain that's there to catch water that runs off and run it back down across the side of Borowski's house. So there's a drain there.
That drains on his property?
Yes.
Yeah, that was going to be my question, Tim. I'm presuming there's been no problems in the 51 or 61 years or whatever?
Except cracking of the driveway.
Right.
Yeah, no.
Okay. How long has the neighbor been there? You know?
Borowski's have been there less than 10, well, maybe 8 years. I can't say exactly.
But in that time period, there's been no problem?
No,
Wasn't
no.
a problem before with the previous neighbor, as far as runoff or anything like that?
Well, Tony was there, the doctor, and we've been at the house now 23 years, and the neighbor on that side has never talked about water.
Okay.
The natural flow of our yard in the backyard is sloping that way also. So the
Right.
natural flow of the
Yeah, it goes down.
property goes down.
Yeah.
Our house is above the neighbor's house. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right. Other questions?
Well, normally we don't let people go all the way to the property line. About the closest we've let anybody go was 2 feet, I believe. Would that be a problem getting in and out of your driveway if you were 2 feet from the property line?
I believe it would be
I
a
mean,
problem.
in and out of the garage.
I believe it would be a problem.
Yeah, I'm not sure, Larry, where you're getting the reference from the fact we've never done that for the property
No,
line.
while I've been here, the closest one I can remember, maybe we gave a person 18 inches, and the last 6 was to build a curb so there wouldn't be any runoff on the neighbor's property.
But there
way
was
I
an existing
remember
problem
that.
with that one. There was already a runoff problem with that property. It was over on the west side of town. So there was a water problem that had been existing there for some time, which I think was the reason that we put some restrictions on what we were going to do as far as the variance.
In
Yeah.
that case, on Zeta, I believe, the neighbor opposed the neighbor opposed any construction workers stepping on her property.
Yeah,
But there was another one on the west side of town, it was asphalt. And we just did this last year, I think, last spring, was it? Crown? I think
Yeah,
it was
it
a
was on
Crown.
Crown.
And that went to the property line, it was asphalt, went to the property line. She had already done it and then come in and asked forgiveness.
okay.
Well, I don't have on this particular one, I know, Wachowski's, I think they're probably pretty easy to get along with. What I'm wondering about is, not so much this one, but if we do this, it's kind of like, in the future, what's that precedent gonna set?
Well, yeah, what I can say for this, I mean, I see two unique things here. First, just being that this is an older driveway built in 1964. Code was way different back then. So there's that. And we don't have a neighbor that's opposed. If this neighbor had a problem with replacing this driveway and it being right on the property line, I would have more concern. But we don't have a neighbor opposed here, so I'm more inclined to grant myself, but
And I think we have to keep in mind that every application that comes in, it's on its own merits. I don't think that we're opening the floodgates to some, future problem that doesn't exist at this point. I mean, you can see the potential for future problems, but who's to say that's going to happen? So we can't predict the future, and so I don't think that's a concern, frankly, but that's just me. Ken?
I tell you, I personally think that the driveway, it's existing, is kind of grandfathered in, isn't it?
Yeah,
So, he's not changing the driveway, he's not gonna chop it up and move the driveway. So,
other comments? I'll entertain a motion as to the shed first for the 4-foot variance, going from 12 by 16 to 12, or 12 by 12 to 12 to 16. Is there a motion for that? Ken? Second?
I'll second.
Okay, Clark? Further discussion on that variance? Roll call, please.
Mr. Voorhees?
yes.
Mr. Magditch?
Yes.
Mr. Salinas?
Yes,
Mr. Barnes?
Yes.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
And Mr. Kieser?
Okay, as to the 10-foot variance, as to the driveway, I'll entertain a motion to approve that.
So moved.
Okay, Clark? Ken, is that a second that I saw? Second. Okay, further discussion on the motion? Roll call, please. Yes.
Mr. Magditch?
Yes.
Mr. Voorhees?
Yes.
Mr. Barnes?
Yes.
Mr. Salinas?
no,
Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
And Mr. Kieser?
Yes.
Okay. Both variances are approved. See the building department for follow-up on things.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Give our best to your wife. Okay, and then we have somebody here from Fannie Mae that's going to be,
Yes, I'm John Markley.
Okay.
I'm stepping in for the builder rep who was unable to make it tonight. We applied for it through them.
okay. If I can just swear you in real quickly?
Sure.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you'll give tonight will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Okay. If you'll state your name, which you've already done, but for the record,
John Markley.
okay. If you can tell us, the board, what you're seeking.
Fannie Mae took this house back through foreclosure. There's some significant problems to deal with renovating it, which is what they've been doing lately with a lot of their properties. So they are proposing to demolish the house that's there and rebuild a brand-new home. And the variances, I believe, and they just gave me this folder. I thought all was in there, but I know it's just with regard to setbacks that they're wanting to, and I know they discussed it with someone at the building
was me.
department, to put them in line with neighborhood conformity.
Yeah, so I've met with Shalmo Holmes, the proposed builder, excuse me, the proposed builder, and I've been in the house, and it is not in a very good shape. It's a very old house.
Is it right on the corner?
Yes, it's right on the
Okay.
corner. It appears at one point there was maybe an addition to the side of the house that is encroaching closer to the sidewalk along Highland Avenue. As your zoning, as my zoning review states, corner lot is to be treated as having 2 front yards. In our discussion, in your packet, they've submitted a rendering of what the house would look like. And my requirement is and will always be that it matches the neighborhood. If that neighborhood is brick, block, stone, the house has some facet of such. Has a front porch, same kind of concept. And what they've submitted is, I believe, fits the neighborhood. Now, if you were to cross Highland Avenue on the north side, you can see that development of that era was quite a bit different than the south side of Prospect. South side of Prospect is much older. I don't know about much older, but obviously there's some age difference in those homes.
A lot bigger houses on the north side. than
Correct.
the south.
Much larger, and there was a lot more money to build those homes on the north side versus the south side. But there is a drainage issue on the back end of the property that they will address during construction. They're meeting the setback, they're getting the square footage that's required in R4. With the hard surface driveway, 2-car attached garage, so the variance request is specifically for the side yard setback, which I believe currently is about 5 feet. So with what they're proposing, they would have a 10-foot setback. So variance is, this is the tricky part. In R4, there's a side yard setback, but for single family, the side yard is only 20 feet. Therefore, a 10-foot variance is being requested.
I'm confused with your explanation. Are we talking about a side yard or a front yard?
So again, the.
It's a corner lot, so you have 2 front yards.
Correct. So the setback for a single-family home in R4 is 20 feet. Being a corner lot, it's 20 feet from both directions. They're proposing 10 feet, therefore a 10-foot variance would be required.
They're going to be 10 feet from what line?
In essence, the sidewalk. The property line is somewhere in there, I don't know exactly
They're
where
going to be
yet.
10 feet from the sidewalk? I thought this said 1 foot from the sidewalk.
No, sir.
The existing house is 1 foot.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yes.
so
They're not going to be
And it-
that close? I thought it was to be the same.
In the existing might be a couple feet. It's kind of difficult to tell. It might be 4 feet, not 1 foot. I might have, when I drove by it after I wrote this, I'm like, well, maybe it's 4 feet or something like that. I don't know.
But they're going to be 10 feet from
They're going to
the
be
sidewalk.
further away from what's
Oh,
existing.
okay.
Correct.
well, that's a good move, I think.
So with Fannie Mae, they will have a family that will be permanent? Is that,
Well, what they do with any properties that they renovate, 90% of what they do is they have a neighborhood stabilization, and they require the first 30 days the property's on the market, that it only can be bid on by owner occupants. So, and I, a property like this, it's gonna cost them a lot more money than they're gonna get for it, but it's not gonna, in my opinion, as a real estate broker, you're not gonna see investors wanting to spend that kind of money to.
for a rental
buy it for
property you're
rent.
referring
So,
to?
yeah,
Sure.
I think the strong likelihood is that it go owner occupant. That's their neighborhood stabilization plan with all their properties. They really try to seek that.
Will they assist with financing?
Even though they're, one of the largest secondary mortgages markets out there, they don't actually do the financing, but they do have programs when people make offers to assist with closing costs and such. But the buyers are required to get their own financing conventionally, or, you know, in this case, with any kind of loan would likely qualify FHA-VA.
Will there be a basement
Yes.
under this house? It'll be a full basement then?
Yeah, that's my understanding, yeah.
Okay.
So full basement, owner occupied, will be the condition, there'll be an owner occupied property?
Well, again, I can't promise that it will sell to an owner occupant, but the first 30 days that it's on the market to be sold, it can only be sold to an owner occupant.
Okay,
So they have first dibs, so to speak.
So it's fair to say this will sell probably for 175, 180,000 with a full basement?
I wouldn't be surprised for it to go for much more than that, too.
Okay.
Yeah, into 250 or, you know, I mean,
All right.
there's gonna be a lot of homes in the neighborhood that don't support that value, but new construction is new construction.
Absolutely.
People, you know, it will likely sell for significantly less than what they're putting into it. So
Okay.
somebody, you know, it can't help but be a neighborhood improvement in my opinion.
right. All right, then we're looking for a 10-foot variance.
I had some questions.
Sure,
Sorry.
go ahead.
What, do we know the setback from the neighbors? Sorry, if I'm just not seeing it in the packet.
So
but
it's this big sheet.
the big big one. Oh, okay.
It's like 14 feet from the
There we go.
property line and then side yard.
The code would allow 5 feet.
Okay.
The one advantage of 14 feet is in the future, if they wanted to widen their driveway, they would have the ability to potentially widen the driveway, maybe even add a parking space along the side of the garage. It's a 3-bedroom home, correct? So 3-bedroom, they would need 4 parking spaces, 2 in the garage, 2 in the driveway.
I guess like my only other question, then I see it looks like there's a utility pole there, so will that, the driveway, you know, will that utility pole cause any kind of problem there?
If it's in the way, absolutely.
Okay. I'm assuming the driveway's not gonna intersect with the utility pole, but that was kind of my last concern.
When I met with the builder, and there was 3 of them actually, and myself that met, that was a concern that they would have to make sure that the apron pretty much stays where the apron is
Okay.
because of that pole.
Okay.
It could be moved a little bit.
Okay. No further questions. Thank you.
All right, anybody else have any questions? I'll entertain a motion to grant the 10-foot variance. Second, Larry? Or is that a question? That's second, right?
Second.
Okay, all right. Any further discussion on the motion? Did we have any comment from the public? Okay. Then roll call on the motion?
Mr. Kieser? Mr. Salinas?
Yes.
Mr. Barnes?
Yes.
Mr. Magich?
Yes.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes?
Mr. Porteous?
Okay. See the building department.
So you're approved.
You're approved. Those of you who have come that want to leave, you can. We have a little bit of old business to do, but unless you're really hurting for some excitement, you know.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for coming. All right, under old business, we had talked last month about excused and unexcused absences on things. I don't know where you want to pick up on that discussion, but my recollection is that it seemed to be the consensus of the board that as long as there was communication made either to Tiffany or to one member of the board, and it was legitimate, excused, and that would be an excused absence. If we didn't hear anything from anybody, then it would be unexcused, and then it 3? I didn't look.
I could not find it in the Board of Zoning Appeals section of the code.
Okay.
If I remember, I did not find it in Planning Commission either, so I'm not sure where, I've read that, but I don't know what, if it was a different board or commission that I read that in.
Yeah, I reviewed the codified ordinances myself. I couldn't find anything on it. It references council. If a
That might
member
be
of
what I-
council has 3 unexcused absences, but it doesn't really get into the board. And then it does, I looked into the powers of the mayor. The mayor, like, it says he has the ability to appoint members to our board, but it doesn't really talk about removal. And then there was some reference to the Ohio Revised Code, and then once you get into there, it's really hard to zero in and find what you're looking for. So, I mean, my only thinking on this is, unless anybody has any other ideas, is we can pretty much just send our proposal to the mayor of what we're thinking, and he can tell us if it's in line or if there's any other rules we need to be considering. But yeah,
When I first joined the board, there was a member who, there were health problems, and the board excused her several times, and then it got to the point where I think her health, I think she finally died or was in long-term care or something, and there was no communication from the family or anything. And I think at that point, and it wasn't done harshly, I mean, it went well beyond the 3 unexcused absences, but just, we had to have a member, and so she may have even resigned before we had to take any kind of action, and the mayor appointed a replacement. But it seems to me like there was discussion at that point about the magic number 3, but I don't have any real firm recollection of it, and I can't find anything in the code. So,
Is 3, would that be consistent with the council's policy?
it would. Yeah, that's what the council. Well, in the councils, I think it's 3 unexcused like in a row. It seems like it has to be 3 months in a row where it's unexcused.
as opposed to 3
It's to like
unexcused
3
in a year.
spread out, right? So, it's if the board, I'd be happy to like kind of draft what we're proposing for the mayor to review, and just he can see if he has any objection. But it kind of seems like it's either excused or unexcused, and if it's unexcused and we have 3, would it be like within a calendar year? Is what I'm thinking.
I think that's
Like January to December.
That's my recollection of
And
what
then,
had been talked about.
yeah, we could just recommend to him, hey, this is now the 3rd, do what you want to do. But I think once it reaches that 3, we could maybe just notify him and then leave it in his hands to decide.
I would even be more comfortable just being in line with council's policy.
Well, Clark, since you volunteered on this, I never turned down a volunteer.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd be happy. Like I said, I can tell them what we're considering, what our thing is, and if there's something different that,
Yeah.
if we do need to align with council, or if there's some other,
And why don't you include with that,
Yeah.
whatever lines up with council, and,
Right.
if he thinks that we're being too stringent, then
right. Okay.
he certainly would have the
Okay.
power
Yeah.
to suggest to us differently. So,
Yeah, if I recall council, it's 3 in a row. So it doesn't even, with council, if I read it right, they don't have to be, it's if they're 3 and they're concurrent, like 3 months in a row. I don't think it matters if they're missing unexcused, then they're back, then they're missing unexcused again. I think it has to be 3 concurrent with council. But again, I can check with him.
yeah, why don't you do that, and then, just if you can email us and copy on whatever
Yeah, the
So,
response.
the mayor's
Yeah. Mhm. Yep.
thinking. So, okay. Anybody have any?
Anybody else find anything else? I couldn't find anything else. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought I could find something in the code. I couldn't under Board of Zoning Appeals, so. Okay, do we have anything coming up as far as the construction? or
No, but
anything?
weather's changing. Seems to be the year of the shed already.
Yes, it definitely is.
Yeah.
All right, well then, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Larry, Vince,
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you, gentlemen and lady. This has to be,
Slide it down for signature, gentlemen.